Hi. Well, today's video will be in English. It's been some time since I've made an English video. So of course I'm talking about esports this time. It's about FURIA today, right? Always about FURIA. They are always doing some shit that I need to talk about, right? So what will I be talking about today? Well, today Game Arena and Jairo, great Jairo, they came with a news. A report that FURIA might change schools, the Counter-Strike player, for Yekindar, right? Well, so the issue isn't only this change, but everything surrounding FURIA. Last week or so, they've announced that they have now Molodoi, which is in Kazakhstani. Kazakh, I think Kazakh is just Kaza. Okay, never mind. A Kazakh helper called Molodoi, right? A young helper that can be a new revolution for the team when Fallen goes away. Like for now, Fallen will stay as an IGL and rifler, but he's in the process of retiring, right? Everyone expected another change, right? They left Cello for Molodoi, and everyone expected one more change. I was thinking maybe Yuri for an international rifler as well, since they are abandoning this idea of a full Brazilian lineup. I wanted a young, good, maybe Russian, Ukrainian, or something promising rifler, but apparently they are changing schools for Yekindar, which is a Latvian player that has played for Virtus Pro and then Team Liquid, who I don't like much. The thing with this change isn't exactly because I don't like Yekindar, but because I don't like the idea of changing schools. I mean, FURIA hasn't been good for a long time, more than a year. You can say that peak FURIA was when Haney was on the team, and then their second peak was during the Rio Major, that's like 2022, and then they won the Elisa in 2023 with Fallen and North in the same team, and those short passes of time are when FURIA was peaking. But right now it's like really unstable. They are still at the top of Brazilian Counter-Strike because their players are just that good. But the team doesn't act like a system, doesn't seem regular. And what I think, and I've been thinking this for like months, time has finally come and it's time to change another player. It's not School's the one that should leave, but Yuri. And when I say that, I don't mean that Yuri is a bad player or anything like that. He's great, he's still great, and like he would fit any Brazilian team besides FURIA and maybe besides Spain because they are now getting DGT. So the thing is, nowadays, the difference between him and Schools is basically non-existent. They are doing basically the same, like Caserato, Yuri, Schools, Fallen, and then Cello was the absolute worst. Well, the absolute worst. Long time since I've spoken English. Okay. So, where was I? All right. And then Cello left, which is of course natural. And then Fallen moved from Alper to IGL only, which was a move that I liked because if he becomes Brazilian Kerrigan, for example, then that's great. He doesn't need to kill much, but he's a great support. He will feed the team and kill when it's necessary. And then we have a young Alper that can fit his role. Why not the Brazilian Alper, right? Well, those are too expensive, and the ones that could fit in for Fallen already have teams that they are not willing to sell. So like Zebais, maybe Zevi, right, from Fluxo, but not quite as good. Seife won't come back to Furia, NQZ won't leave Pain, Sadzin won't leave Legacy. Well, maybe Legacy won't sell, probably. So there's no Brazilian Opera to replace Fallen right now. I've been into this idea of making the team international, go international, for a long time, since they said that they would have an academy team with international players and maybe an academy team with Brazilians as well, and then mix those. They don't even have academy teams right now, but that's fine. That's fine. If they go international, then it's great. And they went, and now they're saying they are going for their second player. Earlier this week, Cachorro 1337 or Cachorro Elite or Cachorro 1337 said that he got insider info from someone that heard from one of the Furia owners that Simple was going to be signed, and he would be a rifler and not an opera, and he would replace. I don't recall which player he said Simple was going to replace, but he said that they were going to sign Simple as well. The thing is with Simple is that I don't trust that. Why would you sign Simple and not for an opera? Like, it doesn't make sense. He isn't even playing professionally, so I really ignored like the whole idea and waited for more credible information. Maybe that, but that was probably the conversations probably existed because they are going after Uyekindar, and maybe it's a kind of similar profile. A player from like East Europe, rifler, if Simple is going to be a rifler, with kind of experience mixed in, so maybe it made sense, but I don't like the idea. Also, I dislike the idea of Yekindar either. Why I don't want Yekindar? It's not because he's bad. Well, he isn't playing good. At least he hasn't in Team Liquid. And when he was IGLing, that was even worse. The thing is that if you follow the trend with the better teams, so let's think, what are the better teams in the world right now? FaZe, really good team, but they are on decline, right? They aren't playing as well as one would expect with the lineup they have. Okay, but then Team Spirit, besides Chopper, really young roster. Mouse, really young roster, mostly made at home and built in with a project, so really good from Mouse. Navi, well, it's not an actual like young roster, but with newer players from like 2 years to now. So JL isn't a young player, but he's an experienced player as well, right? You know, he isn't a veteran. He's a veteran, so makes sense. And then same goes for IM and Beat. He really is young and home grew, so that's great. Wonderful is a young player, and Alexi B, even though he isn't young, he's a young IGL for like tier 1 IGL standards. So Fallen, Kerrigan, Apex, Chopper, those are way older than Alexi B. So young roster, yeah. And then we can go to Vitality, and well, Flamesy is young. Zaiwu, homegrown, right? Homegrown, and young as well. Hops also kinda young, but like middle stages of his career, but not old, right? You understand? Who else is there? It's Apex, of course, and the other rifler, it's Mezzi, which he's young, and probably the weakest part of the team, but the team works, right? And what I wanted for Furia was younger players, like Pain, Biguzera and his children, basically. Okay, now they have Davideus and then GGT, but even when Pain was kind of peaking compared to right now, because they were better at a certain point, it was Biguzera and his children. Maybe the team that's kind of the most improved for last kind of 3 months is Legacy, which is a young team overall. Sedzin, Lux, Nissin, Dumao, and Lato, young players, like a new generation. And same goes for MIBR, with the exception of Exit, who is the IGL. So I wanted Fury to follow the same path. Molodoi was the beginning. Schools could be like a cornerstone for this new FURIA, and of course keep Caserato and maybe following as the experienced IGL and a new young player. But then they're opting for Yekndar, who isn't like a long-term kind of player. And not only that, they are leaving schools and keeping Yuri, who isn't a player for long term. Of course, you can probably think about the whole situation and say, well, Yuri's contract go until 2027, so you probably have to pay a lot to dismiss him, to I don't know how it's called, the clause, to cancel his contract, right? So probably that's one of the reasons, but I don't like the fact that they are still relying on a player that doesn't show what tier 1 Counter-Strike really needs. He doesn't deliver what you need from him. And his age, he doesn't show any kind of improvement. So you don't think that from now to 2 years ahead, he will only get better. You don't think like that. He hasn't been playing this kind of Counter-Strike that he showed during Global Offensive Day since CS2 came along. So why keep Yuri? He isn't a blade player, of course, he's great, but he isn't probably what Fury needs for the next 2 years. Why don't you restart the project? Why keep going with not renewing anything? Schools is like a one chance player that you can get, because Brazilian market is so expensive that you can't come with certain opportunities many times. So when Insani becomes a free agent, if he ever becomes, then that's one lifetime chance, right? Chance of a lifetime. And then you sign him because he's just that good, of course. And Schools is in the same situation, kinda. So why don't you just let Yuri go? Well, for the rest of the scene, it will be a bloodbath for Schools. You can be sure, because you can see MIBR is keeping BR and Zen Breno, right? A player that I like. I really like his game, and I really want MIBR to keep him, but he's kind of a stand-in because Drop left, so Schools can replace him. Red Canids is going to rebuild with Drop, Coldzera, and Venom Zero. He can be this 4th rifler, and then you get an op. You already have an IGL in Drop, so that's fine. Fluxo, well, I like the current Fluxo team, honestly. I don't think they should make it a chance, but for Schools, well, it's a School, so he can replace basically anyone there, except Ort and Xavier, because Opera and IGL, and Schools won't be an IGL. I wouldn't change Legacy, but if you need to, if you want to replace Nissin, well, this is the guy. Because Lux is IGL and Sedzin, Opera and Lato and Yudumao and Bo. Well, those are kind of franchise players. It's like Yuri and Caserato on Furia, but they are way younger, so, well, you keep those. And for every other Brazilian team, well, the schools would be the main player. I think the schools will be signed by an international team. His experience in Liquid wasn't that great, but Liquid was kind of not a decent team to be at the time. Well, I don't understand why would Fury change schools. Really, it makes no sense for me. It makes absolutely no sense. Because if it doesn't work out, Fury will have to replace Dan, Fallen, Casserado, or Yuri, and they will have to keep a Brazilian core because they can't afford to lose the Brazilian supporters. The community would hate Fury if they go with an international core. Also, having a Brazilian core and playing the Americas RMR, well, it's not the Americas RMR anymore. Playing for points in the Americas ranking, well, way less competitive. So they can't do this. They can't afford to go international with more than half of the team. So they will have eventually to change a player if it doesn't work out. And the thing is, if it didn't work out with schools, maybe if they kept schools in Casarado, they could wait because schools is still young. That's not happening. Also, what's not happening is the fact that the team is not improving. The players go to FURIA and they don't improve. So there's also something wrong with the coaches, the coaching staff, which is basically unchanged. And when I thought FURIA would get better at playing CS2, they kicked the assistant at the time and signed another one. And the team just don't improve at all. There is another thing with this change that's in the system idea and how the game plays, because schools is the solo bomb. That's how we call it. I don't know if in English this kind of the same expression, but when like it's usually for B bomb sites, but he's a guy that plays by himself when CT to protect the bomb sites. So that's a really hard role to fulfill, and star players don't usually play these roles. And schools is a good solo bomb, which Yekindar isn't. So when you make this change, what is probably going to happen is that Caserato will move to solo bomb back. So he'll go back to solo bomb again, and you don't really want Caserato doing this. First, he isn't exceptional doing this. He's decent. He plays the role good because he's just that good, but he isn't the kind of player that you want doing this kind of thing. So why? I don't understand. Probably because of I want to believe they will keep Yuri, either because they are going to change Yuri as well. So we haven't got to the part that they are changing Yuri, or because they can't afford to pay Yuri's release clause. So we have to wait for now. I think FURIA isn't going to work this way. I'm almost giving up. I don't know. We also don't know if they will sign Yekindar for real. And we also don't know if this change is pre-major. I would like to wait for the major to come along and then see if the org will try to understand how the team play out with schools and Molodoi, both, and Fallen Rifler. And then if it doesn't work out, then they change schools. Like, give it a last chance. But I don't know if they are going to. This kind of report and leak came too early to be something that would be implemented after the major. So, well, the community hasn't approved it yet. Like, people are really hating on FURIA, especially because it's Yekindar. Especially, I dislike the fact they are changing schools instead of Yuri, but the community as a whole hates the idea that's Yakinder. All right, I understand. I also thought that maybe they could go after a Navi junior player. Why? Well, they had like yesterday or 2 days ago, there was a Yala Compass. That's a tournament, and usually, good teams play because it's the first place gets like $150,000 of prize pool. So good tournament with good teams, and the winner was Navi Academy. Why don't you sign one of these guys? There are 5 players out there that you can go after. I forgot the name of the better one, but you go after one of them. Of course, probably you can't go after Kyosuke from Spirit Academy, so he would be the perfect fit, but you can go after him. So maybe go after Navi Junior Solo Bomb or Navi Junior Star Player. They are best player. I don't know exactly. I watched the Apoka video, no, a Peacemaker video talking about one of them. He was great. And then you probably should go after him because not only is he young, he's also he's probably also way cheaper than Yekindar. So why? Well, we will have to wait and see why Yekindar. Why? I would guess that's probably because none of them want to play entry fragger, so they are signing the first day. Fine. I mean, it's so weird because Monodoy is kind of a cool pick because he wasn't like if FURIA said, okay, we are going to make Fallen Rifler and we are going after an Opera, then like Brazilians wouldn't guess. Actually, not only Brazilians, but the CS community as a whole wouldn't guess Monodoy at all. At all. But, well, here we are. And the guy is actually good. He isn't bad, so good move. But why Yakinder? It doesn't make sense for me. Well, FURIA, right? FURIA. Always a FURIA weird decision that they don't explain. They never explain decisions to us. We never know what's going through their heads. Like, whenever you see other Brazilian team make a move or changing a player, or the same goes with European teams, you always see, okay, so probably because of this, maybe the year this one was when Mao said that they would bench Suri and then they would they would put Brolan as an IGL, which actually wonderfully worked, fantastic change, but people were kind of like, why? So he's so good, why would you do this? Really young IGL prospect, he's fantastic, why would you do this? And then most people didn't understand. I didn't understand either, but I could see why, because they couldn't take one step ahead. They were like missing one step from greatness, maybe one move from greatness. I would suggest another move, another change, but they went with the IGL. And because their coach is so good, right? I forgot his name, Cyclone, right? He's probably the best coach out there with Blade. But because he's so good, the change made everyone speechless, and they won a title shortly after. So okay, great, that makes sense. And probably all the other changes, they all make sense, except maybe Falcons. They are so weird, but they make sense. They work. For example, the heroic rebuild with Sangao players and other players, I think 2 other players that were not from the Sangao team, worked, and they are at the major. And the team that kind of robbed them, like for Acadian, Steven, Jabi, I think all these three were at Astralis. They moved from Heroic to Astralis, and the team didn't qualify. And the players that were kind of that were playing good and were dragged down were Device and Steyer, which weren't the other three. So that's funny. But you always see some kind of sense, whereas when FURIA change, you don't. Of course, signing schools, that's logical. But it's not logical to go after Molodoi, which isn't a bad change, mind you, but it's surprising. And then going after Yakinder, I don't understand. And letting schools go, probably in 2 years. What we will see in 2 years is kind of FURIA crisis, because they are always in crisis every year, month after month. And they will be playing some kind of decider qualify match against a team that has schools, and schools with, like, I don't know, 24 years old, and playing like 30-year-old Yuri, and he will be laughing at FURIA. So I don't even know if I think probably school will be 25 and the Yuri maybe 29, but you understand the difference. In CS, that's a godly awful difference. So why don't you renew your team? You don't. FURIA don't even have like an academy team right now. So what is the future that FURIA is looking to? They don't explain. Like, they explain that, okay, we are putting Molodoi because we will probably Fallen is going to retire and everything, and everyone understood that from the get-go, because Fallen retirement has been expected for years, and eventually that would come. Why don't you explain some other kind of details that they don't tell us? We shall wait, and that's it. Thanks for the video.